Welcome to the Men of Honor podcast. My name is Kuri, your host, and today I'm going to be talking about happiness. And this is a reaction to a post I saw on Instagram. To sum it up without budging too much of the quote, it was to talking about how happiness is within you already. So you don't have to seek it out elsewhere. If you're seeking it out elsewhere, then you are already unhappy. And this is so true, and it's the most misunderstood concept when it comes to happiness. I think everybody, even now, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably are thinking happiness, you're feeling happy because you've received something, or you're about to receive something, or you're in line to get something, and it usually is an external thing that you need to happen in order for you to produce happiness within inside you. And I would like to turn around and say, if that's how you get happiness, then you are coming from the mindset that you are unhappy, so therefore you need something to make you happy. And that's a very difficult place to be, because then when that thing is not there, then you go into default state, which is unhappy. So how can you live a life where you're truly happy, that it's not predicated on getting something? And this is what I call complete freedom. And this is where it comes down to living your life by design. Why? What are the certain things that you can do within your life in order to live a life where you don't, you could sit by yourself for a couple of hours without your phone, without Netflix, without any outside or external thing, in order to make you feel whole or fulfilled or happy, And this is one of the things that can test you to see where you are in terms of your happiness. Can you actually sit for more than 30 minutes without anything, and then not without any external stimulus, and feel okay with it? If you cannot, then it means that your default state is not happiness. So I'm challenging you now. If you feel like you're genuinely a happy person, and you've always thought that you're a happy person, just try it out. Whether it's an hour, 30 minutes, an hour, just see how long you can go for without falling into your personal hell. And this is something that I learned from Julian Blanc. He's a motivational speaker, and he was talking about this, and he was saying something about that everybody's got their personal hell, especially if your default state is unhappy. You've got this personal hell that you're constantly trying to run away from. Therefore, that's the reason why you're always looking for outside stimulus in order to make yourself feel happy. So whether it's that you're looking to get that amazing boyfriend or amazing girlfriend, or whatever you're seeking, there's always something that you're chasing in order to make you feel happy. So some people, it's that the moment that they make that money, they're going to buy this really, really nice car in order for people to admire them, so then they can feel happy. They need to get this really, really nice thing in order for people to, so that they can feel approved, and then that will make them happy. And generally, we do these things in order to level up in terms of society standards. So society has put these standards that if you drive, for instance, a Mercedes Benz, then therefore it's equal to success. Therefore, you gain approval. But what we don't realize is that we as human beings are quite selfish. So nobody really cares whether you drive a Mercedes or not. And the people that do care that you drive a Mercedes are usually the people that are quite jealous that you're driving a Mercedes. So they're not as happy that you're driving a Mercedes. It's this evil trap that we have in society, that we chase after these external things in order to make ourselves feel happy. And really, the unhappiness comes from the fact that every single person, every single human being goes through something that is traumatic. And I didn't. I think it's quite easy for people to be in denial and say, no, I've never faced any trauma. And everybody always puts it down to trauma from parents, but you can gain trauma from anywhere. So some of you might have gone through all your childhood and it was all roses until you met this girl or this boy, and then they were your first love, and then they hurt you really bad when you broke up, and that's quite traumatic. And without the right way of dealing with it, that defines the rest of your life. And those are the things that things that might surface because you've felt that pain before, and every time it's almost like a record playing on a loop within your head that you're always trying to avoid. The more you try and suppress and not deal with that pain, the more it becomes apparent. So it's almost like a monster, that the more you try and hide that monster in the closet, it's going to keep growing and growing and growing and keep trying to come out. And it comes to a point that you cannot fight it. So even whether you buy this thing in order to prevent it from coming out, or raise your status, like I was saying, that you try to raise your status in order for you to feel approved and feel happy and everything else. It's almost like this never-ending game. It's almost like this endless pit that you've fallen into this thing. You continuously going down, and there's no end of stopping. So even if you stop yourself and then you start climbing, when you slip and then you fall again, you just continuously falling. And that's the feeling that you have, that you might go out with your friends and have fun in the bar. You might go out with friends and go and have a dinner, have a party, have a barbecue, go skydiving, go on holiday, go and do things that are, in inverted commas, fun and make you happy, but it's only for a time. When you go back to your home, when you're by yourself, or when you have time for yourself, you're living your personal hell. And this is the thing that I'm trying to highlight in order to tell you that it doesn't have to be that way. You can actually experience true happiness where you do not rely on anything, anything to make you feel happy. And the work that is needed to do this is quite easy. It can be difficult because what it means that you need to have time where you can actually let that thing that you're running away come up to the fore. And when it comes up, you start dealing with that thing that you've been escaping. And this, I've been doing it in my life. It's an ongoing process. So it's not a one easy day fix type thing, but it's something that I just thought I would highlight, that it's something that I'm experiencing right now. That there's times when I'm by myself and I'm not thinking, again, start freaking out because those things are not beginning to come up again. And I find myself, whether it's an escape, but I find myself eating, different things that are sweet and stuff. And really what I'm trying to do is get the dopamine spike within my head, and then I start feeling good, and then sort of trying to override the feeling of feeling sadness or dealing with the trauma. So now I find myself quite overweight, and one of the reasons why is because it's a lack of dealing with certain traumas. So it's one of those things that I'm documenting for myself, but also just trying to appeal to somebody else out there who's got the same issues and might not understand why they've put on weight or why they behave in certain ways. They've got these obsessive habits that are quite destructive. So, which is like for me, eating. At certain points in my life, it would have been porn, So it's stuff like that. That now, I'm not dependent on them, but I find myself defaulting to doing those things in order to make or change my state in terms of getting the feel-good chemicals in my brain. So I'll do that in order to activate them, and then it's almost like an escape, and it's another step of escaping for a time, but once that goes away, then you're back again living your personal hell. So it's a very important thing to do, to actually, if there's anything I would ever say I don't think there's anything more important than this type of work, because everybody lives through life. I think there's a post I saw recently, and it was actually sad to look at it, because he talked about how people are born, they're told to go to school, told to go to university, they're told to get a job, and then they live their life and then die. And basically, it's like just you do the occasional holiday to break away from that, and that is, and I think it's also something that I've because of that post, it got me thinking of how we communicate as people. That there's some people that I would meet, like, um, uh, for example, sometimes just people I know, neighbors, and we would have a small talk, and then they'll be quick to tell me about the holiday. And really, for me, it tells me that the fact that they're telling me about the holiday is a good thing, because they're showing me that they've got some sort of adventure within them. But at the same time, it comes from them wanting to raise their status, that, okay, I've gone to this place, I want you to be impressed. And the fact that they need my approval for me to be impressed, it tells me that it's coming from a place that is, they're not happy, you know. So it's, if you find yourself here, that one person that when you go away, it's really important for you to tell every single person. It's okay to share. I mean, if I'm not saying you shouldn't share, but when you do things, if it's for you to get approval, then it's not for you. It's not what's making you happy. So it's something that I might actually want to deal with again and talk about on a future date. But I think this is an important thing to be considering in terms of your own life. Like, am I truly happy? And if not, what is it that is stopping me from feeling that true happiness? Me living my authentic self, where if I was locked in a room for a week with no television, no technology, no stimulus, I'll be content. You know, I'm just going to sit there and be content with where I'm at, because, you know, very few people live a life like this. And again, it's up until you actually do that sort of work, where you actually start dealing with those, identifying those different traumas that are preventing you from getting there and actually dealing with them, then you're never going to experience true happiness. And this affects every single decision that you make in your entire life, whether it's your decisions that affect you personally or that affect people around you. So I thought I'll highlight this because it's something that is important to me, and it's something that I'm working towards. It's something that I think is important for people to be aware of as well, because in this time where we've got COVID-19, we've had to live a life where we're closed in, and those things that you're reliant on in terms of escape, they've probably been, you've needed them 10 times more than you would if we didn't have COVID. And because of that, you know what I'm talking about. I don't have to explain, you know what I'm talking about. And if you know that that's what's been happening, then you know that there's something that you might need to do in order to deal with it. Because there's nothing wrong with porn, there's nothing wrong with masturbation, there's nothing wrong with watching Netflix, there's nothing wrong with all of that. Everything has to be in moderation. Recently, I was just thinking about this sort of advice that, you know, people completely say, "Oh, you shouldn't be watching Netflix," but it shouldn't be. Netflix is good. I watch Netflix as well. It's one of those things that I like to, but everything should be in moderation. So, and I think the best example for this is that a cake can be bad for you, but if you were at a birthday party and there was 15 of you and you were sharing that cake and you're celebrating, there's a lot of benefit with eating that cake for your body now, but in terms of as a social gathering, it's perfect. But if you got a whole cake for 15 people for yourself and then you eat it within a day, then that's really bad for you. So it's the same thing, but it just depends on how you consume the thing. So it's just, everything has to be in moderation. And again, if you are using that as in a way of escaping trauma, then you're obviously abusing it, because then now you're going to do it in, you're going to continuously feed on that thing that's helping you to escape. So dealing with those things is very important, so you can live that life that is by design, where you're happy and you're experiencing life. You're not just following a script that is you, being born, going to school, going to university, getting a job, and then dying. You live more than that, experiencing life in a different way. So thank you very much for listening. Just rambling. I don't script any of this. Usually just something that when I get prompted with a question or something, I talk about it with something that I might have experienced or something that I might be experiencing. So I sort of just riff, like for a better term. So I apologize if you prefer content that is more structured. But if this is of any help, join the Men of Honor Facebook group, because that's where we'll be giving more advice like this, where you can come and ask questions and we can get some more direct instruction on how to get true happiness. So thank you very much for listening. And if you're a lady, unfortunately we cannot get you into the Men of Honor Facebook group. But if you know a man that will benefit from this, please give him this information and get them to join the Men of Honor Facebook group, and we'll be happy to give them some help to lead them in the right direction. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll be seeing you soon.